Whispers in the Well is less than a week away, and in this guide we're going to be taking a closer look at the on-the-case single-player deck. Sleuth alongside detectives Daisy Duck, Genie and Nick Wilde in this Sapphire Steel single-player deck, releasing with Whispers in the Well. In this video we'll be taking a deeper look at the deck, key cards, general strategy, as well as sharing tips on how to upgrade the deck. So whether you're playing with friends or planning to pick it up for your next sealed tournament, we've got you covered. The game is afoot! Since as far back as the first chapter, we've been hoping for more support for the detective classification, and Whispers in the Well really doubles down, delivering a single player deck focused on the deductive powers of our flat-footed friends. On the Case features 47 characters, 6 actions, 4 items and 3 locations. As you'd expect with a single player deck, only 3 cards are uninkable, perfect for easing new players into the game. Every card in this deck is a brand new card for Whispers in the Well, which means it offers some great value for those looking to build their collection too, although it does include copies of the returning card Mickey Mouse Detective. Before we dig into the strategy of this deck, I want to give a huge shout out to the team at Ravensburger North America for providing it to us ahead of time so we could put together this guide for you. And if you want to get your hands on this deck or any other Whispers in the Well products, catch the pre-release on November 7 and in stores everywhere for the mass release on November 14. So now it's time to grab your magnifying glasses and keep a private eye on the prize to win the game. Of the 2 single player decks this set, On the Case is my pick for the stronger of the 2. On the surface it functions mostly as a mid-range deck, looking to stave off early aggression with its well-statted characters, all the while building up a board of formidable bodies that can quest out to victory. Thanks to the pairing of Sapphire and Steel, the deck has a surprising amount of consistency, with both the ability to accelerate ink, filter through your deck, and deal damage in other ways than challenging. But the detective synergy is what really elevates it, as most cards interact with the classification to provide some truly powerful utility. One of the standout cards of this deck is Judy Hopps Uncovering Clues. Her thorough investigation ability allows you to look at the top 3 cards of your deck and reveal a detective character to then put in your hand. With 30 cards in this deck having the detective classification, this gives you a pretty good shot of revealing one each time you activate Judy's ability. And because of how useful this ability is, look to protect Judy at all costs in order to draw detectives turn after turn. While your chances of uncovering a detective character are pretty high already, Henwen, Prophetic Pig, is a great tool to help you filter your deck a bit, putting less useful cards on the bottom of your deck and upping the chances of Judy's ability hitting a card you do want. There's also the Unassuming Detective Badge, another great way to help Judy stick around for longer by giving her, or any character for that matter, a very useful resist +1 until the start of your next turn. The badge also gives the detective classification to the chosen character, and is therefore a way to allow your non-detectives to take full advantage of the synergy this deck has to offer. Beyond Judy, other standout detectives include Basil, Tenacious Mouse, who gains resist +1 whenever you play another detective character. This is a great way to keep him around for longer, either as an early aggressive quester, or also if you need to challenge down something on your opponent's side of the board. And don't forget, this ability is stackable, so if you play 2 detectives, he'll gain resist +2, and so on. Speaking of resist, Francine, Eyeing the Evidence, is another solid detective that can come down early. She might not be a huge lore threat, but her stats paired with her innate resist can make her challenging to take down, especially in the early game. If your opponent has had a slow start and you don't need to fight for the board, Mickey Mouse Detective, the OG, is another good turn 3 play that allows you to skip ahead in ink thanks to his Get a Clue ability, but be aware that his strength leaves a lot to be desired. If you are looking to play Mickey on turn 3, you could consider setting up Daisy Duck Ghost Finder before, so that her support can buff him up later and add some additional function. Another good way to accelerate your ink is with the new Christoph Mining the Ruins card, a whisper that can be boosted for 1 and, whenever he quests, if he has a card under him, can put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exerted. Like Mickey, this will help you skip ahead in ink towards your mid game. And with limited removal options available in these single player decks, he's likely to stick around long enough to use his ability at least once. And you will want to try and get ahead in ink because the top end of this deck certainly packs a punch. Nick Wilde, Persistent Investigator, draws you a card whenever one of your detective characters banishes another character in a challenge. Card draw is limited, so having Nick on board can give you a pretty big advantage. And yes, Nick's ability triggers if he's the one banishing a character too. But take care, as his 4 willpower means he won't stick around for long if exerted. Judy Hopps, lead detective, is another great later game character, though can shift earlier too, just like Nick. Her lateral thinking ability gives some added protection to your detectives, and has fantastic synergy with Nick, since you can challenge more freely and keep your detective characters around for longer. Rounding out the 5-cost slot is Scuttle, Birdbrained. He has reasonable stats, but it's his ward that can be a real game changer, especially against the Amber Emerald single player deck, which can look to disrupt your characters. And the last of your beefy characters is Clawhauser, Donut Detective. He's another powerhouse card that can help control the board thanks to his Challenger +2, and as a detective, he can hopefully take advantage of the rest of the synergy in this deck. Thanks to the Stealing, this deck does have access to a little bit of removal, which can help you deal with your opponent's board, especially if they're holding back on questing. David Xanatos, Steel Clan Leader's Minor Inconvenience, lets you deal 2 damage to an opposing character by discarding a card. Picking off a pesky aggro threat or adding a few more damage counters to an already damaged character can sometimes make a huge difference and swing the tempo in your favour. There's also the Whisper Robin Hood, Ephemeral Archer, who can deal 1 damage to 2 chosen characters when he quests if there's a card under him. The last bit of removal is the Robot Queen, an item with the ability Major Malfunction. Whenever you play a character, you may pay 1 and banish her to deal 2 damage to a chosen character. This is a pretty cheap combo, all things considered, and she can also be brought back from the discard thanks to Pluto Clever Clue Finder, allowing you to trigger her effect over and over again. When it comes to your opening turns, you'll want to look for a good distribution of character costs to allow you to play something each turn. This will ensure you're able to curve out and also contest whatever your opponent is playing. Nick Wilde is the only 1-cost character in the deck, and the best play strictly for tempo. But options such as the location Zootopia, or even the Detective Badge or Robot Queen can both set you up for subsequent turns. Daisy Duck is a solid turn 2 play if you're looking to establish a detective, while Black Heron is a well-statted non-detective that can help you fight for the board. Ideally, turn 3 is where you'd play Mickey Mouse Detective to allow you to skip ahead in ink. David Xanatos though is great if you need to stop your opponent's aggression, while both Basil and Francine will leave you with a good body on board too. If you've been unable to accelerate your ink on turn 3, or sometimes even if you have, Judy Hopps is a fantastic turn 4 play to help you continue drawing cards as you move on to the mid game when you may be running low. Donald Duck Ghost Hunter is also good here, especially if you need to challenge down an opposing character. At 5 ink, Nick Wilde can really help you take control of the game, gaining vital card advantage if set up well. But both Genie and Scuttle work here too, as difficult to remove threats. You'll often want to stop inking around the 6 ink mark, where your late game Judy Hopps or Clawhauser can both help you fight for board control. But as always, remember to be flexible, as you won't be able to guarantee seeing these cards with the limited quantities in this deck. When it comes to upgrading this deck, your best bet is to double down on the detective synergy that forms its core, like the deck list we're showing on screen now. We've increased the copies of Nick Wilde in the 1-cost slot, while also adding 4 copies of another detective, Basil of Baker Street. This gives you more consistency early on, but we've also included 2 copies of Develop Your Brain to smooth it out further. Since we have access to Sapphire, we've added the compulsory 4 copies of both Tipo and Sail the Azurite Sea. This will effectively help you skip your 3 ink turn, and get to your powerful mid-game characters soon. Both Tipo and Sail the Azurite Sea are pretty cheap to pick up, and by running all 8 of these cards, it means you'll almost always find these for turn 2. We've still maintained a few of the more useful 3-cost characters though, just in case, and so you can always curve out each turn. We've also increased the copies of Judy Hopps Uncovering Clues to provide more consistent card draw for the deck, as well as Nick Wilde Persistent Investigator for the same reason. We've also added 1 copy of Beyond the Horizon if you need to refill your hand, but also as a potential way to disrupt your opponent if they're getting too far ahead in card advantage. We've also included 2 copies of Daisy Duck Paranormal Investigator. She's a powerful new character that can further disrupt your opponent by making their ink exerted, as well as being another detective to lean into the rest of the synergy. And finally, to really leverage Steel, we've included 4 copies of Strength of a Raging Fire as effective and efficient removal, as well as He Hurled His Thunderbolt. Don't worry about the fact you don't have any deities in this deck, the 4 damage alone is often critical. And that's our guide for playing On the Case. If you're looking for a guide on the other single player deck for Whispers in the Well, Spectacular Spectres, we'll have that out to you very soon. And if you want to see these 2 single player decks in action, check out our gameplay video, the link is in the description. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button on your way out, we'd really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe for full coverage of Whispers in the Well and beyond. Finally, thanks once more to Ravensburger for providing these decks to us in advance. And remember, you can get your hands on Whispers in the Well for its pre-release on November 7th, and it will be available everywhere on November 14th. Until then, good luck uncovering the clues, and happy questing.